At number 1 is agriculture, because a large number of workers are required in agriculture activities throughout the country. But second number is construction activity or the construction industry. Here also a large number of workforce is required in different construction activities, in different construction projects throughout the country basically. But if we talk about the training and education of these workers, then it's a very sorry state of affairs, you can say, because even being the second largest employer of the workforce, here there is no formal training to the construction workers basically. In other trades of manufacturing and other trades basically of industry, there are ITIs in our country where these workers or the prospective workers get their training in different trades. But in construction, though the identified trades are something around 35 trades basically, but there is no formal education and training system in the country. That is a very bad situation, you can say. So the question arises then, if there is no formal training and education system, then how do these workers get their training? It is basically through the father-son relationship education system. This is the main, you can say, education system in which a person who is working as a tradesman in any trade of that construction basically, he is teaching to his son, and that way this teaching learning process goes on from one generation to the another generation. So okay, then what is the problem? Problem is that whatever right or wrong a person is knowing, he is transferring that same knowledge to the younger generation, to the next generation. And in this process, what is happening, that the bad processes or wrong processes basically are being passed on to the next generation. So they are making the same, the young generation is going to make the same mistakes whatever their elders were making basically. Because here that practical training is being transferred, practical training is being given. But what is the logic after that, behind that, what is being done? What is the logic behind that? Why a process, why an activity should be done like that only? If we do not do in that manner, what will be the problem? What is the correct way? And how is it correct? So such things are missing basically. That means knowledge part is missing. That practice is being transferred basically. That it should be done like that simply, without any logic, without any background knowledge. That is the problem. So this is the reason that why a proper training is required basically, which gives the information with a proper logic, proper reasoning behind any process or any activity that is being done in that construction sector basically. So this is one method of giving training to the next generation. Another one is that teacher and disciple. In addition to that father-son relationship, teacher-disciple means some experienced worker giving training to a new prospective worker basically. So here again the problem is same. Whatever right or wrong that experienced worker is knowing, he is transferring the same to the new worker or the new prospective worker. That is the problem basically. So this problem can be removed only if a proper training is given basically. Whenever a worker is coming to new work or to a work site, he or she should be given proper training. What are the different aspects of the work basically, and what are the things related to that work? How this work should be done? What are the safety requirements that work can be completed safely without any accident, without any incident basically. So that is the purpose basically of giving the training. Then you can see here in these graphics basically that if a worker is not knowing that what are the safety requirements, what safety processes, safety protocols should be followed, then what they are doing, this is visible in these graphics. This a worker is working on this cutter basically. You can see in that first left picture, he is cutting some iron piece. He is not having any personal protective equipment. Neither he is having boot, nor he is having that gloves, anything, nothing is there. So this is an open invitation to some accident basically. In that second graphics, right in the right side basically, a construction worker placing that reinforcement. Again you see here no personal protective equipment he is wearing. Similar thing you see in that left picture here. This worker is drilling basically and doing some demolition work basically, and he was not wearing that eye protection equipment, that safety goggles basically. So some material has just entered into his eyes. So this can be very, very dangerous. This can be very dangerous that he can have injury to his eyes. In that right side again you see here these two workers are working basically, construction workers. They are not wearing any sort of PPE, personal protective equipment basically. One person is riding on that climbing on that ladder. If he slips and fall, then there may be injury because he is not having any sort of personal protective equipment. So this is the case basically in most of the construction sites. So that has to be stopped because there are a lot number of accidents are there, as you know, in this construction industry, where every day thousands of deaths are there. So this is a very bad situation. So there are reasons basically behind that. First one, that they are not being told that what is the importance of the these personal protective equipments. Second thing is that their hesitation, because sometimes due to that environmental conditions, they find these protective equipments uncomfortable basically. So such type of things happen, and because of that they are not using that. But this is a very dangerous situation. This may lead to a very deadly accident basically. Now, how we identify the training needs, that what sort of training is required to the workers. Then first of all, there is one basic construction safety. This construction safety training is necessary or compulsory to all workers. Then the importance and need of wearing personal protective equipment is told to the workers in this basic construction safety, basically. That what are the different personal protective equipments are there, what is the importance of these, how these personal protective equipments will save the workers from any accident. So such type of things are told to the workers in this basic construction safety training, basically. Then in addition to that, what should be done and what should not be done, means the do's and don'ts that a worker should follow to make himself or herself safe, and also for the safety of the co-workers or the fellow workers. And also if our construction site is in some habitated area, then there may be passerbys also. Then if due to some accident, they may also get injured. So their safety is also ensured if these do's and don'ts are followed carefully. Then in addition to this basic construction safety training, then there are training for specific activities and operations. Because these are the basic safety things, basically, that which should be followed by all workers at all sites. But there may be some project specific or site specific things also. That if a worker is working at a height, then he needs to know that how he can make himself safe. What are the personal protective equipment that must be taken, that must be worn by the worker when he is working at a height, basically. So it will be different. These will be different basically for a worker who is working at the ground level. Then again, if a worker is working underground tunneling operations, then safety precautions, safety measures, and these protective equipment will be different. In addition to that basic equipments, basically. So for such site specific things, the training should be given that what are the hazards associated with such type of specific sites, and how a worker can make himself or herself safe while working at such specific sites, basically. So that work specific or the site specific training is also required to the workers in addition to the basic safety training. Then how we identify that what sort of training is required, what training should be given to a worker. So we identify this or come to know this requirement basically. First of all, we do the pre-assessment of construction trade workers, basically. In this, what we try to get the information is that the perception and attitude towards the need of safety. First of all, we want to know that how much the worker is aware that why safety is required. What is the importance of safety? Because in general public, basically, there is an attitude of casual nature that, okay, nothing will happen. And they are not wearing these personal protective equipments. They are not taking proper care while working at site. So first we have to find or come to know that what is the attitude of the worker towards the safety. Because we have to, if he is having an attitude that nothing will happen, then first we have to change his attitude by telling that what is the problem, what are the hazards, what may happen if you are not following the safety protocols. So that perception and attitude has to be changed. After that, we must know the competencies in dealing with various hazards, basically. That how a worker is competent in dealing with various hazards associated with the different construction activities and processes. As I told you earlier that different construction activities are having different type of hazards associated with it. And how much a person is competent to deal with these emergencies, deal with these hazards, how he can make himself or herself safe, such type of competence we should know. Whatever is lacking, then we have to enforce that part basically to that worker. Then characteristic of the project. As I told you that there are various challenges and hazards at different sites of different nature. So we must know the characteristic of the project, that what type of project it is, what sort of activities will be involved in this project, and what are the different hazards or problems or the risk associated with different activities on a particular project. So after knowing that, basically, we can plan that what sort of safety training is required to the worker. So we must know we must get the information regarding the characteristic of the project. So that way this becomes important. Then after knowing that what are the different type of needs, what different type of training are required, then we come to the type of trainings. So we divide the different type of training into 3 categories basically. First one is induction training. Second one is follow-up or refresh training. Then third one is site-specific training. So we begin with the first one, that is the induction training. So what is this induction training? So this training is whenever a new worker is coming to a site basically to work, then he needs induction training. Means we are inducting him to that particular work or particular construction site. Then we need to give him the induction training, in which we will tell the worker about that what type of project it is, what are different activities, how these activities are being done, what sort of equipment we are using, then what are the hazards associated with that. So that way we train the person initially, giving exposure to the various type of activities and various type of hazards associated with these activities, and what are the safety protocols to make himself or herself safe, as well as our fellow workers basically. So this is the induction training. Then after that, next is follow-up or the refresh training. So let us first discuss in detail the induction training. That occupational health and safety orientation training to all new employees, aiming basic site rules of work, personal protection, and preventing injury to the fellow employees. So this is one of the important aspect of the induction training. Then as I told you that basic hazard awareness, that what are the different hazards, what are different type of hazards which are associated with different activities that are to be done at that particular project. Then what are the safe work practices? How we will perform our work safely? What are the safety protocols basically? Then workers should also be exposed to the emergency procedures, because there may be some emergency of fire, that there is a fire breakout. In that case, so if we are not telling the workers about these, that how they can deal with these emergencies, then he will get puzzled, and in that situation he will make mistake. So we have to acquaint our workers about the emergency situations also, that in case of fire what they should do, how the evacuation has to be done, how they can rush out quickly, safely to the safe places in case of any emergency like fire or any natural disaster like that earthquake is there, a seismic event is there. In such event, what they should do, how they should come out safely from that site basically, or some strong winds, cyclone type of things, such type of natural hazards are there, natural disasters are there. So in those situations, how they can come out quickly and how they can make themselves safe, such type of emergency procedures also they should be told basically. Then if there is any site specific hazard, so the workers should also be told about those site specific hazards. As I told you that if some work is at a greater heights, then there are rules basically, there are some safety procedures basically, some safety equipments also that workers should follow. Workers should wear those equipment, workers should follow that safe procedures. Similarly, as I told you that if some tunneling work is going on underground basically, so these challenges are different, hazards are different basically. So to a particular site, what are the hazards associated in those activities, that has to be told basically. Also, if some color coding is there for various processes, various safety protocols, then these should also be told in detail, that what is the meaning of this color, what they should not do, what they can do. So all such things also be told basically. Then in addition to these safety requirement, one important thing is the hygiene requirement. How the workers should make themselves clean, and also the environment, wherever they are working, that environment should also be hygienic, and they should also do the things in a hygienic manner basically, so that they do not fall sick, and also they do not make the site in a very bad shape basically. Then in addition to that, which is very important, is the personal protective equipment. They should be given training regarding what are different type of personal protective equipment, why they should wear them, what are the benefits, what are the problems if they are not wearing these personal protective equipments. Then what is the correct way of wearing these? Because if they are wearing a loose helmet, then it is of no use. Because if in case of a fall, and then this helmet is going off, then it will lead to a very bad situation. So how they should wear, and also in addition to the equipment, clothing also. For various operations, what sort of clothes should be there? Because if some moving machine parts are there, then they should not wear some loose clothes. Because there is a danger of these clothes stuck with these moving part of the machines basically. So such type of precautions they should follow, such type of training we should give to the workers basically. Then area signages. Because at site there are signboards. What is the meaning of these signs? These should be explained to the workers. That if you see such type of thing, such type of sign basically, so what is the meaning of it? What they are expected to do in that case basically. So these signages should be explained. Because there may be some hazardous areas where some electrical equipments are there, electrical wires are there, then compressor room is there. So while entering into such electrical room or compressor room, what precautions they should take basically. So there may be some signages that this process is dangerous, what they should do, what they should not do. So these, in addition to these, there may be some hazardous materials which are used in construction basically. So they should not touch them without any protective gear. Because if there are some toxic chemicals, toxic materials, if they come into contact with the skin, then there may be some burns, there may be some damage, there may be some injury. So such type of things, they should be told that. Then there may be some emergency exit signages, that if in case of emergency, what they should do, which way they should come out of that evacuation should be done basically. So they should be explained the meaning of these signages. Because a new worker doesn't know what is the meaning of these signages basically. Then labeling of equipment. All vessels that may contain substances that are hazardous as a result of chemical or toxicological properties or high temperature, high pressure. So these should be labeled properly, and workers should be told about that. That if this label is there on some container, then what is the meaning of it? What precautions these workers should take in that situation? Because if some material is there at high temperature, then they should not touch that. So what is the level on that container basically? So that worker get cautious that after seeing that level, that this material is at high temperature, I should not touch that. So such type of things basically, such type of labeling of these materials or equipment, that should be explained to the workers basically. Then hazard coding system. Means if some hazardous things are there, like some fire emergency case or some toxic materials, such type of hazarding things are there. So how the coding is done? If color coding is there, what is the meaning of these colors? If red color is there, what is the meaning of red? What is the meaning of yellow? So whatever signages and color coding are there, then these should be explained to the workers so that they can work at the site safely. Then after induction training, we come to the follow-up or refresh training. So as it is clear from its name, follow-up training or refresh training, Means a worker is exposed to the induction training. He is working at the site. But what happens that it's a human nature that if some accident is not there, if some major incident is not there, then after passing some time, basically, because of the human nature, worker takes the things casually. And they are not worried about these safety protocols. They are not worried about wearing these personal protective equipments. They are not focusing the work properly, because there are situations, basically there are equipments like power tools. When a worker is working with the power tools, because they are running on electricity, so a very minute mistake can lead to a major incident, major injury. So, but when a worker is working after working for a longer time, then worker get overconfident basically. And because of that, under this situation of overconfidence, he or she is now having a casual nature towards the work. So in this situation, he is not wearing the protective equipment properly, or he is not wearing at all basically. He is doing the work casually. He is using the power tools and talking to some other worker. So in such situation, a minor, as I told you, minor mistake can lead to a major accident basically. So for removing such type of possibilities of any accident because of some casual nature, the workers are required to be given the follow-up or the refresh training basically. That whatever was told earlier in the induction training, now again it has to be reinforced, it has to be refreshed basically. Again they have to be told about that, what is the importance of the safety gears, what is the importance of doing the things in a safe manner basically. So this is the importance of the follow-up or the refresh training. In addition to this, there may be some situations where these workers who were given the induction training, they need some more training. What are these situations? These situations are that if some new construction equipment, tools or machineries are introduced at the site for doing the same work. For example, if something like demolition things or some cutting operation was done manually earlier, now a new tool or new machinery is introduced at the site. So certainly the training has to be given basically. So this will be a follow-up training or the refresh training, because they were not exposed in their induction training basically. Because that process, that equipment or that machinery or that tool was not available or was not being used at the site at that time. Then introduction of new construction materials basically. And those materials which may be hazardous, which may pose problems to the health, which may be toxic basically. So if some new material is being introduced at the site for use basically, because in construction there are not many chemicals which are used for different purposes. So if a new material is introduced at the site, then what is the nature of that material? Whether some hazards are associated with that, some health challenges or health problems are there with that material, and how the workers can use that material safely. So all these things have to be told to the workers in the follow-up or the refresh training. Then introduction of new construction methods and techniques. which carries new challenges and risks with them. So now, earlier we saw that there is some new tool basically, new material basically. Then there some be these methods, materials, maybe this materials and these equipments are same, but a new method of doing the things is being introduced at the site. So again we require a refresh training to our workers basically. Then there may be situation, fourth situation is that there are changes in the there are changes in the legislation related to the environmental pollution and safety standards. Because these environmental pollution and safety standards are constantly being changed basically. That some standards are being followed for the environmental pollution now. After 6 months or 1 year, we come to know that new legislation has come. Some more strict rules have come regarding the environmental pollution. So all the workers has to be informed. They should be told that now up to this time this was the rule regarding the environmental pollution, but now onward this is the rule, and to follow these rules basically, what are the things, what are the processes, what is the change in that. There may be change in material, there may be change in equipment, there may be change in the methodology basically. So these things have to be told to the workers regarding the new legislation on the environmental pollution and safety standards. Then third one is, after that induction training, follow up or refresh training, then third type of training is site specific training. As I told you earlier also, that at different site the hazards and challenges are different. Because in construction projects, every project is a unique project. It is having different type of processes, different type of activities. There may be some different type of materials, different type of machines and tools and equipments basically. So because of that, every project is a unique project. And for a particular project, there may be some different or special safety requirements may be there. So here the workers should be trained for a site specific work. What is the requirement of a particular site? According to that, we have to train our workforce basically. So when we give training to the workers regarding to a particular project, which is having something additional more than that basic training basically, or a training which is common to the all type of projects, then we go for this site specific training. And this is must that all workers should be acquainted with the site specific operations and procedures, and what are the hazards associated with that particular site, what are the safety regulations, what are the safety protocols. Then all these things should be told, and these workers should be trained for such type of challenges and hazards basically. Workers have to be trained for safety measures which are specific to site conditions, work processes or equipments that are being used. Any special or typical site problem being faced at the workplace, if it is there, then it has to be told to the workers. The training should be given on site to disseminate good practice guidance relevant to a particular project basically. Then we come to the components of training. What are the different components of training? Means in a training, what we should cover. So there are 4 major components of the training. First is training for personal safety. Then training for equipment safety. Then third one is training for environmental safety. And last one is training regarding various hazards and preventive measures. So these are the 4 basic components of a training basically. So let us discuss these one by one. First of all, the training for personal safety, because this is very important. The worker has to be safe while working. He should have confidence that he will not get any injury. He will not have any health risk basically. Then only he can work with confidence. He can work with full efficiency. So, for training for personal safety, basically we tell these workers about the personal protective equipments, that how they can make himself or herself safe while doing different construction work basically. So what are these personal protective equipments? These personal protective equipment include the hard hat or helmet basically, then ear protection equipment, generally the earplugs are used, then safety goggles basically for protecting the eyes, then for protection of the legs basically that chap pants, then for protection of feet there are safety boots, then protection of hands there are safety gloves, and for removing any chance of hit by the moving vehicles at the construction site basically, because there are cranes, trucks moving the material. So a worker has to wear a reflecting jacket so that the driver of that vehicle become cautious. Otherwise there may be a mistake made by this driver. He may not have that much of attention if a worker is not wearing the this reflective jacket. If a worker is wearing the reflective jacket, then the driver becomes cautious and any chance of accident can be removed basically. Then if a worker is working at height, then most important thing is safety harness. So these are the personal protective equipments that are used by the workers. So these workers should be acquainted with these personal protective equipments, that why they should wear, what is the importance of these different equipment basically, and how they can make themselves safe while working at a construction site. So let us discuss these one by one. First one is hard helmet. So as it is clear from its name, that is to protect the head from what? From the falling objects, flying objects or overhead objects. Because if a worker is working at a site and some work is going on just above his head at a height basically, so there may be a chance of by mistake falling off some material or some tool. So if a worker is working below at lower level, basically just below that place who is working at a height basically, so in case of any fall of that material or the tool, this worker who is working at that lower level or at ground, he or she may be hit by that. And if this worker is not wearing these hard helmet or the safety helmet, then there will be a big accident, large accident basically, that may be deadly accident, that may be fatal also. So to safeguard these workers, these hard hats or the hard helmets should be worn by these workers basically. Similarly, if some cutting operation is going on, so there may be some material flying basically, some piece of that material is flying. So that flying material also again can hit a worker who is not wearing that helmet. So there may be some deadly injury in that case. The next is eye wear. So there are safety goggles to make the eyes safe basically, because there are some solid particles in the air. There may be some you can say some small particles of iron pieces and other things basically. So to just remove any chance of this eyes of a worker hit by these things basically, these workers should wear these eye protective gear, that is means that safety goggles basically. In addition to these solid particles, there may be some acids and the fumes of the acids, some toxic materials. So if these fumes of these acids or that some toxic liquids, if it is going to the eyes of that worker, then eye may be injured. So to remove any chances of such type of things, that solid material or hazardous or the toxic liquid or gas basically, so workers should wear these safety goggles. Then third one is ear plug or ear protecting devices, because normally our construction sites are associated with the tools, machines and operations which are noisy basically. So if these workers are exposed for a longer time to a high level noise, then there may be ear injury. So to protect the ears of the workers, they should wear the ear plugs basically to safeguard their ears from a high level noise. Then respiratory mask or dust mask, because as you know, our construction sites are very, you can say, dusty, because almost all operations, whether it is excavation, whether it is construction, whether it is demolition, all these operations are creating dust, particulate matter basically. So if this particulate matter is going to our lungs, it is going to harm us basically, going to harm our lungs basically. So to safeguard the health of a worker should be told to wear the mask basically. So this mask is required for safeguarding from the dust. These may be required from safeguarding from the fumes of acids or fumes of some toxic materials basically. Some hazardous gases, if a worker is working in engaged in tunneling operation basically, so there may be some pockets of hazardous gases there. So this respiratory mask should be worn by these workers basically to safeguard them. Then safety gloves, because here the materials are very, you can say, hard and rough surface materials basically, and there may be some you can say very rough surfaces which are having sharp edges also. So to safeguard the hands of these workers, they should wear the safety gloves also. There may be some hazardous chemicals that are being used. There may be some biological hazards basically. There may be electrical hazards also. So to safeguard the hands of the workers, they should be told to wear the safety gloves. Then protective boots or the safety boots. Because as you know that the working conditions at a working site are very hard. The surface is, you can say, stony, boulders are there, some uneven surfaces there, construction material is lying, like that reinforcing bars are lying there, some aggregates is lying there. So this means that surface is very rough or challenging basically. In addition to these, there may be some electrical wires, and if some wire is faulty, then in that case, if a person is barefooted, then there may be a chances of electrocution. So to safeguard the feet of these workers, they should be told to wear the protective boots so that they are not injured basically. Then safety harness. As I told you that when a worker is working at a height basically, and generally it is told that for a height more than 2 meters basically, then in that case a worker should wear the harness. Harness is a, you can say, equipment which helps them to safeguard in case of any fall basically. So to make themselves safe, they should wear the safety harness, because at a height when a worker is working, there may be chances of fall, there may be chances of slipping basically. So in that case, this safety harness protects these workers, and they are, in that case, in case of a fall, they are not going to hit the ground basically. So this safety harness protects them. So whenever a worker is going to work more than 2 meters of height, then these workers should be told to wear the safety harness to protect themselves in case of any fall. So in addition to that, reflective jacket, as I earlier told you that this cautions the driver of the vehicles that are moving at the construction site. And chap pants safeguard the legs of the worker. So these are the personal protective equipments which help the workers to make themselves safe basically. So this is all for today. I hope you must have enjoyed this, and we will continue our discussion regarding this training and development of construction workers in our next lecture. So thank you.